When we imagine Africa before the arrival of Europeans, what pictures come to mind? For many, the images are of vast, untamed landscapes, perhaps dotted with small villages. It is a simple picture, but it is an incomplete one. It misses the grand story of power, wealth, and civilization that unfolded across the continent for thousands of years. This was a world of great empires, of sprawling cities, and of sophisticated societies. Kings and queens ruled over vast territories, commanding armies and controlling immense riches. Their influence was not confined to Africa. It reached across the oceans, connecting the continent to Europe, the Middle East, and Asia in a complex web of trade and diplomacy. This Africa was a place of extraordinary innovation and learning. Think of bustling ports where ships arrived laden with silks from China and spices from India. Imagine universities where scholars debated philosophy and astronomy, building on knowledge passed down through generations. These were societies that understood engineering, mathematics, and medicine. They built monuments that still stand today, testaments to their skill and ambition. The story of Africa is not one of darkness waiting for light, but a brilliant history of human achievement. These were civilizations every bit as advanced and complex as their counterparts elsewhere in the world, with their own unique contributions to our shared human story. The wealth of these kingdoms was legendary. Gold from West Africa flowed into Europe, fueling its economies and becoming the stuff of myths. Ivory, salt, and precious woods were traded across the Sahara Desert on camel caravans, creating immense fortunes for the merchants and rulers who controlled these routes. This was not simple barter. It was a highly organized system of international commerce. Currencies were established, treaties were signed, and complex financial systems were developed to manage this flow of goods. The power that came with this wealth was immense, allowing empires to flourish, to build, and to leave a lasting mark on the world. But this history, so rich and so vital, has often been pushed to the margins. It has been overlooked, sometimes deliberately erased, by narratives that sought to justify colonization. The story of powerful, self-sufficient African empires did not fit the colonial image of a continent in need of saving. As a result, generations have grown up with a distorted view of Africa's past, a view that robs the continent of its legacy. It is a story we are only now beginning to piece back together, uncovering the truth of these magnificent lost kingdoms and restoring them to their rightful place in world history. Let's travel south to the high plateau of southern Africa. Here, between the Zambezi and Limpopo rivers, stood an astonishing city. Great Zimbabwe. This was no temporary settlement. It was a metropolis of stone, built without any mortar to hold it together. Its most famous feature, the Great Enclosure, is a masterpiece of engineering. Its high circular walls were constructed with incredible precision, a symbol of the kingdom's power and architectural genius. For over 300 years, from the 11th to the 15th centuries, this city was the heart of a powerful trading empire. It was a political and religious center, home to a society with a clear social structure and immense wealth. Further north, along the fertile banks of the River Nile in modern-day Sudan, lay the Kingdom of Nubia. Its history is deeply intertwined with that of its powerful neighbor, Egypt, but Nubia was a formidable power in its own right. The Nubian kings, known as the Black Pharaohs, even conquered and ruled Egypt for nearly a century as its 25th dynasty. They built more pyramids than the Egyptians did, though smaller, dotting the landscape with these iconic royal tombs. The Nubians were masters of archery, skilled ironworkers, and creators of beautiful pottery. Their kingdom was a bridge between Mediterranean Africa and the rest of the continent, a vital center of trade and culture for over 3,000 years. In the lush rainforests of West Africa, another great power emerged, the Kingdom of Benin, in what is now Nigeria. From the 13th century onwards, its rulers, the Obas, presided over a highly organized society. The capital, Benin City, was a marvel of urban planning. It was protected by a massive system of walls and moats, one of the largest man-made structures in the world. But Benin is most famous for its stunning art. Its craftsmen produced thousands of intricate brass plaques and bronze sculptures. These were not just decorative objects. They were historical records, telling the story of the kingdom's history, its rituals, and its leaders. They are a library cast in metal. Along the eastern coast, from Somalia down to Mozambique, a unique civilization flourished. This was the Swahili coast, a collection of independent city-states like Kilwa, Mombasa, and Zanzibar. They were connected not by a single ruler, but by a shared language, culture, and religion, Islam. These cities became the gateway between the African interior and the vast Indian Ocean trade network. Their merchants grew rich trading gold, ivory, and enslaved people for goods from as far away as China. The result was a vibrant cosmopolitan culture, a blend of African, Arab, Persian, and Indian influences, reflected in their language, their architecture, and their way of life. The achievements of these kingdoms were not isolated. Their influence rippled across the known world, connecting Africa to the great currents of global history. Take the gold from Great Zimbabwe and the empires of West Africa. This African gold was the lifeblood of medieval Europe. It was minted into florins in Florence and ducats in Venice, funding the Renaissance and fueling the growth of European economies. When Mansa Musa, the emperor of Mali, made his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, he distributed so much gold in Cairo that its value dropped for over a decade. His journey put his empire firmly on European maps, a testament to its incredible wealth and global recognition. Art from these kingdoms was also highly prized. The Benin bronzes, for example, astonished the first Europeans who saw them. Their technical sophistication and artistic beauty rivaled anything being produced in Europe at the time. They challenged the racist assumption that such masterful work could not have come from Africa. Similarly, elegant Nubian pottery and intricate Swahili carvings found their way into collections across the Middle East and Asia. These objects were more than just commodities. They were cultural ambassadors. They carried the stories, beliefs, and artistic visions of their creators to distant lands, speaking of the complex societies from which they came. Knowledge and technology also flowed out of Africa. The universities of Timbuktu were centers of learning that attracted scholars from across the Islamic world. They preserved ancient Greek texts and made new discoveries in mathematics, medicine, and astronomy. This knowledge was shared along trade routes, contributing to the intellectual life of the wider world. In the field of technology, African ironworking was highly advanced. Smiths in places like Nubia and West Africa developed techniques that were unique and effective, producing high-quality steel long before similar methods were common in Europe. This technological prowess was a cornerstone of their economic and military strength. This global interconnectedness shows that Africa was never a continent cut off from history. It was an active and essential participant in the making of the modern world. Its kingdoms engaged in diplomacy, sending ambassadors to foreign courts and signing international treaties. The city-states of the Swahili coast had deep and long-standing relationships with powers in Oman, Persia, and India. This was a world of mutual respect and exchange, where African rulers and merchants negotiated on equal terms with their counterparts from other continents. They were not passive recipients of outside influence, but shapers of their own destiny and key players on the global stage. So, if these kingdoms were so powerful and influential, why have their stories been so widely forgotten? The answer is tragically simple and deeply tied to the age of European colonization. During the 19th century, as European powers sought to justify their conquest of Africa, they promoted a narrative of a dark continent. This was a story of a land without history, without civilization, and without progress. It was a continent, they argued, that was waiting to be saved from itself. The magnificent history of Great Zimbabwe, Nubia, and Benin directly contradicted this convenient fiction. Therefore, it had to be suppressed, ignored, or explained away. This erasure took many forms. When early European explorers encountered the ruins of Great Zimbabwe, many refused to believe it could have been built by Africans. They concocted elaborate theories, attributing its construction to ancient Phoenicians or the Queen of Sheba, anyone but the local Shona people. In Benin, the British punitive expedition of 1897 did more than just conquer the kingdom. It looted thousands of the priceless bronze plaques, scattering this incredible historical archive across museums in Europe. This was not just theft of art, it was the theft of history itself, removing the evidence of a sophisticated civilization from its home. The legacy of this historical erasure is still with us today. It has shaped how the world sees Africa and, crucially, how many Africans see themselves. For generations, education systems both within Africa and outside it have prioritized European history, treating Africa's past as a footnote. This creates a void, a sense that Africa's story only began with the arrival of Europeans. Filling this void is one of the most important intellectual projects of our time. It requires us to challenge old myths, to seek out new evidence, and to listen to the voices that have been silenced for too long. It is a process of rediscovery and reclamation. By uncovering the stories of these lost kingdoms, we do more than just correct the historical record. We gain a richer, more accurate understanding of our shared human story. We learn that greatness, innovation, and civilization have blossomed in all parts of the world. For modern readers, these stories are a powerful source of inspiration. They show us models of sophisticated governance, sustainable urban living, and incredible artistic achievement. They remind us that history is not a simple line leading to the present, but a complex tapestry of many threads. It is our